All right, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. Again, you guys could be doing a million different things, but instead you're sitting here listening to my bullshit. So I appreciate it as always. All right, Adam, Mr. Landfill, thank you for the 5x5. Appreciate it. Joe, Flown Grown, thank you for the 5x5. Maria, thank you for the 5x5. Dan Phillips, he said Breakfast Club. You think they should remake that movie? Sarita, Dobie, Johnny, F you all. Thank you for the 5x5, guys. So, Krull, Countess, Chris Bulldog, thank you for the 5x5. All right. Prep Revelator, thank you for the Critic by Critic. Dan Phillips, Nora Tech, Johnny D. Thank you for the 5x5. So, tonight we're talking about remakes. Now, there is a couple of movies that we're gonna talk about that is actually getting a remake. I didn't think they would, but I'm a little excited about some of the remakes, and then other remakes I'm not, especially when there's certain directors attached to it. So we're gonna talk about fantasy films as far as that being remade. We're gonna go through the genres. So I guess tonight will be fantasy films. Then we'll do sci-fi, horror, action, and then that's it. Dramas. I mean, could you remake? Dramas, I don't think you could remake. Just leave it alone. Unless you. When it comes to remakes, I look at remakes because the storyline could have been better, more action, better special effects, and a lot of these movies all hit the special effects check mark. But there are other things that we're going to talk about as well. We're also going to talk about failed remakes from the 80s, and then remakes they should just never touch, which I hope they're not. Maria Jackson said Flash Gordon. That is on the list. Nora Tech said I second the Breakfast Club. Debbie does Dallas remake. They already did that. How do I know? No, just kidding. But Dark Crystal. They did bring back, I guess, a sequel on Netflix in regards to Dark Crystal, but a remake, I don't think so. I think it was great the way it was. Kevin Grip, if I'm not mistaken, Gone with the Wind, Citizen Kane, like the real American classics, they're not trying to do remakes with, at least not now. They didn't Willow remake. Interesting, because that wasn't on my list. I liked the movie the way it was, being that Ron Howard did it, and that was one of his worst movies, believe it or not, and it was still a good movie. I thought it was great. I guess with special effects you could, more action, you could definitely get away with Willow, but someone said leave the Breakfast Club alone. If they remake the Breakfast Club now, they're going to have a bunch of gay black kids and a transgender in there somewhere. So, yes, they should leave it alone. Because what they're going to wind up doing with the remake of the Breakfast Club is have the Woe Is Me party. And this Gen Z kids in a new Breakfast Club remake, they're going to ruin it. It's going to be gay or transgender or just some bullshit that we don't need to hear about. And the thing is, the Breakfast Club, when it was done in the 80s, we are talking about fantasy films tonight, but when the Breakfast Club was done in the 80s, that was a lot of shit that a lot of us can relate to. We could relate to the shit that those kids were dealing with. And even if you couldn't, it was just a good movie to watch. Like, I couldn't relate to any of those kids in their shit, because one, when the movie came out, what was it, 85? I was only 7. I wasn't in high school, so I didn't have any of that high school drama. But the Breakfast Club related to all of the kids that were in junior high school and high school, and they could relate to that. That's why the movie did so well. But if they did it today in 2024, they're going to relate it to problems that only a small percentage of society deals with, right? And that's the gay and transgender nonsense. So it wouldn't go over well if they redid the movie. Police Academy is a classic. I wouldn't touch it, like, at all, because the comedy that was in Police Academy, you really can't do. And I wouldn't. There's not a lot of remakes of comedies you can do because they were so raunchy back then. To redo them now, you would water the hell out of it. Like Blazing Saddles. You can't remake Blazing Saddles. Half of the shit that was in Blazing Saddles can never be redone or retold again. It's sort of like Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder, man, that was a good movie. They hit it all on the head. American Ninja, Iron Eagle. Those two could probably be remade. Remake of Eyes Wide Shut. No Breaking. No, thank you. No fucking thank you. And they had different, I guess, renditions of Breaking with these dance movies that came out. And I think the best dance movie was You Got Served. Oh, and Stomp the Yard. Those are like the two more recent dance movies that were really good. All the other shit was fucking garbage. What was it? Honey? Right? And what was the other one? Save the Last Dance? Oh, gross. Disgusting. Porky's? Nah. Ice Pirate? Yes. That should have been on my list. I didn't put it on my list. Thank you, Nora. Ice Pirate should have been, is definitely a good remake. Because it would sort of resonate with us now, being that we are having a water crisis, or will be seeing a water crisis in our lifetime. Ice Pirates definitely hit that on the head. But, and then Solar Babies, that wouldn't be a bad remake. But no one rollerblades anymore. Like, you wouldn't do roller skates, you would do rollerblades, and most people don't rollerblades anymore. Those are great. Flight of the Navigator, I would leave that alone. Explorers, leave that alone. Mac and Me, like I said, I would remake the whole movie and then throw it the fuck away because it was such a shitty movie. Time Bandits, they tried that, and it tanked. They didn't put little people in it, which they should have. Little people are looking for work in Hollywood, and they do the remake and make it into a TV show, and you don't put midgets in it. That was bad. I was like, what the hell is this? Why are these people so fucking tall? They weren't that way. Like, it was a dumb show. I mean, there was a lot more to it that was why it tanked, but The Last Starfighter, only for special effects reasons, should it be remade. But other than that, it's one of those classics that you should never really touch. Because even the special effects back then wasn't that bad. But I do have a list of movies that should never be remade. And then there's only like 2 movies that I have off the top of my... Dead Zone would be an interesting one to remake. Anything that involves science can definitely be remade now, and would definitely be a better story, especially with better technology. Like Manchurian Candidate, that wasn't an 80s movie. The remake was really good. But what was the remake of an 80s film that they remade, and the remake was a hell of a lot better because the science was better? Can't think of it right now. Flatliners wasn't bad. The remake wasn't bad either. The remake was actually pretty decent. It's Alive. Yeah, no. Nope, no remakes on that one. It's a good, shitty B-movie horror film, but that's it. Laser Blaster. That was the other movie that I wanted to put on the list, but I didn't. Hold on. Now, I am... Got it. So, Laser Blaster was one of the first movies my father showed me back when I was a child. Let's see if I can pull it up. And... okay, it's not an 80s film. It was released in 1978, directed by Michael Ray. Stars were Kim Milford, Cheryl Smith, and Gianni Russo. Kim being a guy, by the way. That's the blonde-head guy that had the laser blaster on his arm. Synopsis of the movie is a teenage stumbles upon an alien weapon which transforms him into a grotesque killer. So he finds a laser blaster, which, puts on his arm, and they should definitely redo that movie. And then he wears a medallion that controls him and turns him into the zombie-esque killer. Special effects were subpar. But the movie, special effects was horrendous. It was 1978. But that's a movie they should absolutely redo. And it's called Laser Blast. Not Laser Blaster, excuse me. And it's a very short movie. It's an hour and 25 minutes. It moves pretty quickly. But it was one of those sleeper films that people didn't appreciate. And it scored so low on IMDb, no one would ever remake it. Like, ever. And so a post on Reddit says, almost worthy of a remake to address is Laser Blast. Deadly Weapon. Deadly Weapon, 1989. I remember that. That was sort of a loose remake on it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, but that was one of my favorites. The first movie that I actually watched and remember. My father was like, "I really like this movie," and we watched it, and I thought it was pretty cool. Now that I'm a grown ass man, I look at this movie, I'm like, this is still a good storyline, but a bad special effects. Anyway, let's hop to it, guys. So, the first movie on the list of 80 fantasy films that should be remade is Krull. Krull was released in 1983. Starring Ken Marshall, Lizette Anthony, Freddie Jones, and Liam Neeson was in this movie. Liam Neeson had a decent role in it. Wasn't big, wasn't small. Directed by Peter Yates. Synopsis of the movie is a princess and a fellowship of companions, Lord of the Ring-ish, sets out to rescue his bride from a fortress of alien invaders who have arrived on the home planet of Krull. Critics' consensus was, while nostalgic, fans may view it through a rose Krull-reded glasses. This would be sci-fi epic is painful derivative. Would be sci-fi epic is painfully derivative. So the special effects is pretty bad. Not even pretty bad. It's bad. Great storyline though. Great storyline. The weapon that he used, I forgot what the name of the thing was like almost like a boomerang with razors on it. He would throw. That was pretty cool. But if they did it now with the special effects, it would be awesome. So, is there a remake coming out from this movie? Yes. J.J. Abrams is attached to it, and they've been talking about it for the last 2 years. So Krull remake would be awesome. If they keep to the storyline, the characters, move a couple things around, give it some ultimate special effects, this movie would be fucking awesome. And this movie was released in 1983. I was only 5 years old when Krull came out. Like I said last night, Krull, I didn't watch it until I was in my 20s. Right? I had to have been, I don't know, 21, 22. My son was born. My oldest was born. And that was the first time I watched it. And even back then, in like 99 or 2000, I thought it was a good movie. Even though the special effects were horrible. Deadly Friend. That was a good movie. Is that an 80s flick? I feel like it's not. I feel like it was a late, early 90s film. Hold on. I suck at... Yeah, 86. No shit. Okay, Deadly Friend was an 80s film. Released in 1986, directed by Wes Craven. Starred Matthew, whatever the hell that last name is, Christy Swanson, and Michael Sharrett. Just for that, I'm probably going to watch it tonight. I haven't watched that movie in like over 20 years. Anyway, so, next movie on the list is Flash Gordon. Now, Flash Gordon was one of my all-time favorites. I had to have been 3 or 4 when it came out. By the time I watched it, I think I was 5 years old. Where I watched it and sort of understood what was going on, I was about 5, maybe 4 or 5. But anyway, Flash Gordon, 1980, starring Sam Jones, Melody Anderson, Max von Sydow, and Topol. Directed by Mike Hodgins. Synopsis of the movie: NASA scientists are claiming that an unexpected eclipse and strange hot hail are nothing to worry about, as Dr. Hans Zurich Topol, known better as Topol, and takes football star Sam Jones, also known as Flash Gordon, and the travel agent Dale Adrian, Melody Anderson, with him into space to rectify things. They land on a planet, Mongo, where the despot Ming, the Merciless, is attacking Earth out of pure boredom. With the help of a race of Hawkmen, Flash and the gang struggle to save their home planet. Critics' consensus: can't be charmed and knowing sense of humor helps to overcome a silly plot involving a space-faring ex-football player, his adoring bevy of a groupie, and a supervillain named Ming the Merciless. Yeah, I could agree. When you look at it when you're older, you're like, yeah, it's kind of silly, but whatever, it's fun. Now, is there a remake of the movie? Yes. A live-action remake of the movie Flash Gordon is in the works, but this director who did Thor, what was it? Ragnarok, the one that directed Thor Ragnarok, Takia Waititi, whatever his name is, Waititi. That guy's a piece of shit. I can't stand that dude. He's a Samoan guy. He's from New Zealand. He's a director from New Zealand. He is a bag of shit. He is a super ultra liberal progressive piece of shit. And so the fact that he's attaching his name to this means they're going to destroy this movie. Hands down. I'm not happy that he was attached to it. Now, they were working on Flash Gordon for a few years. If I'm not mistaken, Sam Jones was looking to reprise his role as Flash Gordon again a few years ago. And if I'm not mistaken, it was more of a sequel than it was an actual movie, an actual remake. So even with this remake, I like when they do remakes and they put the original characters from it somewhere in the movie. Barbarella. I never seen Barbarella, believe it or not. Or Heavy Metal. Two movies that I always wanted to see that I have not seen. And like, I tried to watch Scanners, right? I think it was like 1982 or 3. That movie was shitty, man. Shitty. I was like, that was a bad movie. I couldn't understand. What a titty, yeah. But anyway, that guy's, what you call it? He goes, oh no, that means it'll be a comedy. Well, Flash was sort of a comedy. There was some funny shit in it. It wasn't a straight comedy, but it was sort of his kind of mix. Watiki, whatever the fuck his name is, that's kind of his thing. So, I mean, he did good with Ragnarok. Ragnarok was awesome. It was funny. It was good action. It was a well thought out movie. Adam, the remake of Philadelphia Experiment would be awesome. But that would set off so many conspiracy theorists into a tizzy. Oh, man. People would be fucking screaming and crying and carrying on. Now, another movie that was good at the time, still good, but can definitely do it with a remake because of special effects reason. Flash Gordon can definitely use a remake because of a slightly better storyline. If they can go two ways with Flash Gordon. They could do the same comedy, campy style, or they can go dark. And if they go dark, this Flash Gordon would be the shit. And with special effects today and flying Hawkman and all this other shit, the scene at the end with the Hawk guys flying the Ming's castle to attack it would look way better. And they all wouldn't be flying in a line and diving together. They'd be swarming and all over the place. The movie can definitely do with special effects. Also, in Flash Gordon, Timothy Dalton was in the movie. I forgot to add him to the list. So the remake is being made. Flash Gordon can definitely use a remake because of special effects and a better storyline. As Krull can use a remake for better special effects. So the next movie we're going to talk about is Excalibur. Excalibur is still a classic. Came out in 1981. I think I was 3 years old. Yeah, I was 3 years old when it came out. Unless it came out in the winter of 81, then I would still have been 2. I didn't watch Excalibur again until I was about 5-6 years old. My father introduced me to a lot of movies around the age I was able to sit in front of a TV and focus on whatever was on there. So, the Excalibur 1981, starring Nicole Williamson, Nigel Terry, Helen Mirren, and Nicholas Clay, directed by John Boorman. The synopsis of the movie is the magical sword of Excalibur starts off in the hands of a British lord, Walter Pendragon, played by Gabriel Bryan. Holy shit. And then, years later, finds its way to his bastard son, Arthur Nigel Terry, the something destined to be king. It says knave? The knave destined to be king. I hope I said that right. Aided by the sorcerer Merlin, Arthur fulfills his fate by bringing together the Knights of the Round Table at Camelot and unify the country. However, his flawed monarch faces great tests ahead in pursuit of love, the Holy Grail, and his nation's survival. Now, they did a bunch of, renditions of Excalibur. And the other one was with Sean Connery and Richard Gere. What was that? No, not First. Was it First Night? I think it was First Night. Right? That was about the Round Table, Excalibur, the Knights. That was actually a really good movie too. But so anyway, what did the critics' consensus of the movie was? John Boorman's operatic, opulent take on the legend of King Arthur is visually remarkable and features strong performance from an all-star lineup of British thespians. Almost sounds like lesbians. Anyway. Oh shit. Alright, whatever. So, remake being made? No. No remake in the works as of right now. This can definitely use a remake because of special effects. Storyline is great. Keep the storyline the way it is. Work with the special effects. And the movie would be phenomenal. Now, the reason why they haven't done a remake of Excalibur is probably because of Lord of the Rings. That's probably why they haven't remade it. Because Lord of the Rings took over, and that was it. And if you do anything now, it would feel Lord of the Ring-ish, right? So it's probably why they haven't done anything. Dragon Slayer, 1981, starring Peter McNichol, Caitlin Clark, Ralph Richardson, and John Holland. The synopsis is: a terrible dragon is terrorizing a medieval land in Ireland in the 6th century. Representatives from the kingdom seek assistance of a wizard, Ulrich, to defeat the dragon immediately. Ireland has been delivering virgins to appease the dragon and their princesses, which is Shoal Solomon, who plays the princess in the movie, has rigged a lottery system they use in order to sacrifice herself next. But when Ulrich is killed, the task to confront the dragon falls to the wizard's apprentice, Galen, Peter McNichol. Is there a remake? Nothing so far. No remakes in the make right now with Excalibur. With Dragon Slayer. And again, Dragon Slayer is another one that if you redo that one, it's sort of Lord of the Rings like the second one, right? The Desolation with Smog or Smoog, whatever his name was. And that wasn't Lord of the Rings. That was The Hobbit. So it would be sort of similar to that. All right, we talked about this last night. Talking about it again. Beastmaster, 1982, starring Mark Singer, Tanya Roberts, Rip Torn, John Amos. Rip Torn and John Amos, which are both dead, passed away rather. Directed by Don Corus, some fucking Italian last name. Anyway, synopsis is: prehistoric Dar uses his ESP with animals to save a slave girl from a sorcerer and a town, which was his basis of the movie, was to save the slave girl and the town from the sorcerer Rip Torn, right? Is there a remake? No. They were talking about a remake a couple of years ago, but because of legal battles, the remake is being prevented from being made. So what happened was the original director of Beastmaster somehow got the original script, copywritten script, back under his name, and so now he doesn't want anybody to make it. I'm like, now Beastmaster, potential good movie, needs a better storyline and better special effects and way better fighting scenes. The fighting scenes in Beastmaster were horrendous. I've never seen anything that bad. I mean, it was just like, like he hit the guy across the chest. The guy was standing across the fucking room when he swung the sword, and the guy fell on the ground. I was like, that's bad, And then the classic, like, running to the sword and then running past him, and then it was like no blood. It's pretty bad. So Beastmaster could definitely use a remake for special effects, storyline, and possibly even better casting. Though Mark Singer did a good job. Mark Singer, a lot of you remember him from V, awesome TV show, which I might start talking about some 80s TV shows, not many and not all of them, because that's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. Next show was Quest for Fire, 1981, starring Everett McGill, Radon Chong when she was super hot, Ron Perlman, who looked like a caveman back then, and Nicholas Caddy, directed by Jean-Jacques Arnaud. What a fucking pretentious prick name. Anyway, synopsis is: in prehistoric world, a Cro-Magnon tribe depends on an ever-burning source of fire which eventually extinguished. Lacking the knowledge to start a new fire, the tribe sends 3 warriors on a quest for more. With the tribe's future at stake, the warriors make their way across the treacherous landscape full of hostile tribes and monstrous beasts on or Masha B. On their way, they encounter Kaya, Radon Chung's character, a woman who has knowledge they seek, who had like an interesting sex scene. I think she was. I don't even think it was a sex scene. I think it was like rape. I remember watching it when I was smaller and seeing the sex scene, and the guy was humping on her. I remember asking, why is that guy humping on her? And my mother's fucking response for everything when I was a kid was, oh, she's being tickled. Anyway, now I watch it when I'm older, and I'm like, oh, she was being raped. And then she gets used to or accustomed. She gets accustomed to being around the guys. There is no talk of a remake whatsoever. Nobody is, considering it. I wish they would. That would be an interesting remake, an interesting storyline. But I see why they haven't done it, because there's not much you can do with it. It's already been done. You can't do anything else. You can't make the caveman gay or transgender, right? So there's not much they can do with it. Ladyhawke, one of my favorites, 1985. I was 7 years old because it came out, if I'm not mistaken, in the summer of 85. Let's see when Ladyhawke came out. Came out 1985, roughly. One thing I hate about using the internet, the phone is so much better when you look this shit up. Yeah, I can't find it right now, but it came out April 1985, so around springtime. So I was 6 at the time this movie came out, but it was an awesome movie. Actually, by the time I watched it, it was in the summer, because it came out in the theaters, and then it took fucking 8,000 months for it to be released on video, and that's when I saw it. Again, good movie. It can definitely use a special effects upgrade, Ladyhawke. Starring Matthew Broderick, Rutger Hauer, who passed away, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Leo McKern. Directed by Richard Donner, a young Richard Donner, because we all know him now as an old fuck. Synopsis is a movie. Upon breaking out of a dungeon, youthful thief Philip Gaston, played by Matthew Broderick, befriends Captain Nevers, a man with a strange secret. Nevers and his lover lady Isabelle, if I said that right, were cursed by a wicked bishop of Aquila, who desired Lady Isabelle for himself. His dark magic prevented the pair from ever being in each other's presence except at twilight, so they enlist Gaston as the dangerous plot to overthrow the bishop and break his evil torment. The critics' consensus on this is there is pacing problems, but Ladyhawke has an undeniably romantic sweep that's stronger than most fantasy epics ever. The remake, there is a remake being made on this movie, but unfortunately it's being made in the form of a fucking TV series. Shit. I hate when they do that. Even though some things can be made into a TV series, like The Stand. The Stand was awesome. Scott Hummer, thank you for bringing that up. If you guys don't mind, hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down before you leave, when you come in, whatever you do. Just do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. So again, there is a remake. What can this use? This can use better special effects. And there's certain things that they can do when she turns into the hawk or he turns into the wolf, if I'm not mistaken. There are a lot of things they can do with that. And the storyline was pretty good. I don't think they need to actually work that out anymore. Just better special effects is all that this movie needs. Now, one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies, even to this day, even though it was ranked one of the worst 80s movies, this 80s film was by far the first time I was introduced into this fantasy world. And that was Legend, with starring Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, Tim Curry, David Bennett. Came out in 1985, directed by Ridley Scott. Darkness seeks to create, this is synopsis, darkness seeks to create eternal night by destroying the last of the unicorns. Jack and his friends do everything possible to save the world and Princess Lily from the hands of darkness. Enter a world of unicorns, magic, swamps, dwarfs, and rainbows. I don't think I remember a fucking rainbow in that movie, but whatever. Fun fact about the movie, the scene where Tom Cruise dives off the ledge to get the ring that his stupid fucking girlfriend threw in the pond or whatever that was. It's the director's. It's Ridley Scott's son, kid. So his kid was like 9 or some shit at the time, and into diving, and they had his son do it so that Jack appeared small because there was something about the way the studio was set up. They needed somebody small to pull that off. So, and that was all inside of a studio. So, I thought that was interesting. And there's a lot of problems with the movie. So the movie had been rewritten like half a dozen times. They had to do a ton of reshoots. They got rid of a goblin. There was supposed to be 4 goblins, not 3. There is a scene where you do see an extra goblin there when they're coming towards the princess to try to get the other unicorn, and you see another goblin there, and then that goblin gets taken out of the entire movie. He's never like mentioned at all. There is an uncut version. There are about 3 or 4 versions of Legend. There is a UK version and there's an American version. The UK version, I think it's like 3-4 minutes longer with some extra interesting scenes. And then there was like a whole ton of problems with the movie. But Ridley Scott, till this day, still stands by this movie. So, like I said, the only remake that's being talked about right now is a TV series. So that sucks. Also, Ladyhawke is also... Sorry, excuse me. Scratch that. Ladyhawke is being remade as a TV series. Legend, there is no talks of a remake as of right now, other than a couple of fans on Reddit stating that he should reopen that movie and redo it. And Ridley Scott himself should redo a Legend. That would be cool if he did. Because he is doing 2 more Alien movies or 3 more Alien movies. So he's going back to his original, what got him famous. He should definitely do Legend with a better storyline, better cast. Because the cast, there was nothing wrong with this cast, but a better cast. And keep the midgets in there. Don't get rid of them. And if Tom Cruise attaches his name to Legend in some capacity as a producer or something like that, I would watch it. Tom Cruise touches a movie and turns to gold. Which, by the way, the new Mission Impossible is coming out next summer. It's called The Final Reckoning, right? The Final Reckoning. That looks like it's going to be good. I can't wait for that. So now this remake needs to happen. This remake was also in the talks of being remade for the last 30 years. 30. They were talking about remaking this movie. When it first came out in 1987, and it tanked, and we saw this movie, and we were all disappointed. I know we were. I was. I fucking cried at the end of it. I was like, this is bullshit. Where the fuck is... So, the movie is Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella, Meg Foster, and Courtney Cox. Directed by Gary Goldberg. Synopsis is, when the evil Skeletor finds a mystery power called the Cosmic Key, didn't exist in a cartoon, I don't think, becomes nearly invincible. However, courageous warrior He-Man locates inventor Gilbert, that wasn't in the fucking cartoons, who creates the key and has another version of it. During a battle, one of the keys is transported to Earth, where it is found by teenager Julie, Courtney Cox, and Kevin, Robert Duncan McNeil. Both He-Man and Skeletor forces arrive on Earth searching for the potential weapon. The critics' consensus, Masters of the Universe is a slapdash adaptation of the He-Man mythos, that can't overcome the cynical lack of bullshit. No matter how admirable Frank Langella throws himself into the role as Skeletor. Very good. Now, again, guys, this remake was 30 years in the making. When it came out, it tanked. People were pissed. And why were people pissed with Skeletor? Now, I mean, with Masters of the Universe. I'll let you guys answer or put a couple answers in the chat. But I could tell you why I was annoyed why Masters of the Universe sucked. It sucked for multiple reasons. But there were 2 key characters that they left out. One being that they couldn't CGI or special effects one of the characters. Actually, both of them. Both of them. But I let you guys, in a couple minutes, a couple seconds, answer who they left out. Tarzan, the Ape Man. Oh, 1981 with, what's his name from? That was a good Tarzan. Right? Was it the Lost? Was it Tarzan the... No, it was called Greystone, right? Grayskull? Greystoke. Something Greystoke. With Christopher Lambert. That was a good fucking... That was a good fucking Tarzan movie. Greystoke? Yeah. I don't recall. Alright, so the two characters that were left out of Masters of the Universe, right, was Battle Cat and Orko. People were like, where do... We were hoping that they would like show up at some point in time. Greystoke, thank you. Right? What was it? The Legend of Greystoke? Why am I guessing? I got a computer in front of me. But sorry. That was a very, very good... I really don't like. I really don't like this bullshit. It only gave me like 4 movies that he's known for. Videos, photos. Nope, I don't want videos and photos. Oh, I guess it's right here. Jesus, he was in a lot of shit. Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, 1984. 1984. Yes. Greystoke, right. Legend of the... Someone said that already. Thank you, Cerrito. Yes, Gwildor, right, was the substitute for Orko, but still, that was a shitty substitute, man. I was fucking pissed. I was annoyed. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And no Battle Cat? And no, like, the fucking, the thing he used to say with the sword. None of that. You know? What the hell was it? What the hell did he used to say? Can't remember. Something about the power of Grayskull. Right? And that wasn't in it either. And then he got big. You know, like that. None of that was in there. You know? Fuck. And then the classic He-Man look. So anyway, is there a remake of Masters of the Universe? Yes, it's been happening, like I said, for the past 30 to 20 years. They did cast somebody for He-Man. His name is Nicholas Galitzine. He's supposed to play Adam and He-Man. So we shot By the Power of Grayskull. Thank you. That wasn't in there. We were all waiting for that to happen. That didn't happen. Right? So anyway, they casted somebody for He-Man. He-Man, again, they've been talking about remaking it for as long as I can remember. A bunch of directors attached their name to it. There was even talk about 10 years ago of Steven Spielberg attaching his name to it. It's either Steven Spielberg or James Cameron. One of the two were attaching their name to the project. Then there was also the project that they were going to work on, a live-action Akira. That was going to be James Cameron. Was it? Yes, James Cameron wanted to do that. But then he benched it. Who knows why? All right, so another remake that it's being remade as we speak. Red Sonja, 1985, starring Bridget Nielsen, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sandy Bergman, and Paul L. Smith, directed by Richard Fleischer. Synopsis: power-hungry queen Gendron captures the priestess guarding the talisman and mystical orb that creates and can destroy the world. But one of the priestess escapes and seeks out her warrior sister Red Sonja to warn her about Gurdon's plan of world domination. Lord Kildor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the talisman's keeper, insists to helping Sonja, and though she scorns the assistance of any man, she soon gains respect for Kalidor's fighting prowess. Now, why was this movie done? I give you guys one fucking guess. One guess why this movie was done. Now, Red Sonja was a comic book. It was a dark comic book like Conan. And they thought that, yay, let's give it to this chick who didn't have the acting chops for Red Sonja. Nonetheless, they gave it to her. But I give you one guess why they gave it to her. So, critics' consensus: dull, poorly directed, and badly miscast. Red Sonja is an uninspired conclusion to Arnold Schwarzenegger Barbarian trilogy. Now, is there a remake? Yes. They started filming back in 2022. It was supposed to be released late 2023. We are in late 2024, so they are sitting on it. And yes, there is a poster for Red Sonja. The chick is probably way shorter than Bridget Nielsen. Red Sonja is a tall girl. 6 feet and taller. I'm not sure how tall, but she's over 6 feet. The chick that they casted for her looks like a fucking midget. So, we gotta wait and see where that's gonna go. So, again, it was supposed to be released already, but the poster is out. Type in Red Sonja 2023, and you'll see the poster. Not sure if that, not sure if that's gonna, mean anything, but whatever. All right, so movies that should never be remade from the enemy. Fantasy movies that should never be remade. My first one is Never-Ending Story. Never-Ending Story ended perfectly. There's no need for a sequel to that. There's no need for, other than special effects. And then that's probably it. The Flying Dragon would have been it. There wasn't much special effects needed. What the hell was the name of a trail? No, a trail was a kid. What was the name of the horse? That scene was pretty good. That was an intense scene. Even as a kid, you were like, holy shit, that sucks. Getting stuck in mud like that. That should stay the way it is. It's a great kids movie. Kids can watch it today and they can still enjoy it. They don't have to. Yeah, the sequel sucked. They shouldn't have done a sequel. Rose McGowan was supposed to play who? Rose McGowan was supposed to play Red Sonja? Or Tila? Yes, Adam, they made a sequel. The sequel was bad. It's horrible, stupid. The sequel didn't need to be. It ended perfectly. Let's do part 2 and fuck up the first one. Like, why? Valcor, right. Valcor was Artax, yes. Artax. Yeah, come on, Artax. Because they were walking through the Depression mud place. Yeah, Artax. Batteries not included. Wow, Keisha, you must hate that movie. She goes, batteries not included is one that should never be shown again. I liked Batteries Not Included. Should they redo it? They could probably get away with it with better special effects, definitely. But yeah, I didn't include that because that's a sci-fi movie. So I have a sci-fi movie list I'm working on. But Batteries Not Included, they could redo that. That wouldn't be too bad if they stick to the storyline. So now the next on the list that never should be remade, Dark Crystal. I thought Dark Crystal, the storyline was great. There's not much you can do with that. You really can't. I mean, the storyline was tight. The effects was good. It was puppetry, right? You can't do any better than that. I definitely wouldn't do it. Though, again, they did do like a sequel on Netflix. Someone said Short Circuit. Short Circuit was good. Could they redo that movie now? Yeah, with a better robot? Absolutely. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. But again, Short Circuit's another classic. It's a sci-fi classic. Clash of the Titans was remade. Keith in Arizona. And they did a sequel. And they had Clash of the Titans 2. Wrath of the Gods or some shit like that. Or Wrath of the Titans. Excuse me. Now, Clash of the Titans, the remake was good. Was awesome. That was a remake way worth it. But the sequel came out and it was just like, ugh, yuck. But yeah, Clash of the Titans was already remade. And when you look at it back then, it didn't need to be remade. But when I saw the trailer and I saw the special effects, I was like, this is going to be good. And it was good. It was really good. Short Circuit was remade. Chappie with Hugh Jackman. Yeah, that Chappie sucked. I didn't like Chappie at all. Yeah, like and with Chappie, it should have been like Johnny, like Short Circuit Remake would be Johnny Five, and then I Am Alive, and like running around killing people and shit. Anyway, that would be like a darker version of it. So the next movie that should never be remade was Time Bandits. We were talking about it earlier. Again, they failed. They tried to turn it into a TV show. They didn't put midgets in it, and it tanked. And it tanked for other reasons, not because of the midgets. I'm hooked on the midget thing, but it tanked. And that should never be remade for that reason. Now, this classic, I don't think will ever be remade. It should never be remade unless we die and the next generation really wants to remake it because they use AI to do it. Which, by the way, guys, AI movies? Nope. People do not understand what AI movies are going to do to Hollywood and what AI movies are going to do for people like you and I who use AI to develop a movie. There is somebody right now building a supercomputer that can handle all of that information to make a movie, strictly AI. Making sure that everybody's eyes, fingers, because AI has a problem with hands for whatever reason, that everything is correct. That movie's coming out. AI in the movies, creating movies, is fucking bad. And it's going to get to a point in 50 years or so where you can talk to your TV set, which is floating on the wall. I want to see an action movie with intense love scenes and intense gunplay in space. And then there'll be like sex cowboys in space and some shit like that. And that it'll compile a movie from you based on the prompts you give it. There's an allure to that, because I'm like, that would be interesting. But there's also not an allure to it. I'm not interested in seeing that. Nonetheless, it's going to happen. So be ready for it. I mean, listen, I wouldn't mind like testing it, but it will destroy Hollywood. Which, yes, one side of the coin is Hollywood needs to be destroyed and taken apart. But that's bad. That's going to put a lot of people out of work. You're talking about millions of people out of work if and when that comes out. And it takes the fun out of actually filming a movie, I know. E.T. was great. Prep Revelator, you cannot remake E.T. Like, there's on no universe could you remake E.T. You can't. Leave it alone. People would probably want to do it, but I don't think Spielberg will allow for it. All right, so anyway, the next movie that should never be remade is The Princess Bride. That is a classic in itself, a classic 80s film. Awesome movie. Should never, ever be remade. They shouldn't even talk about it. Matter of fact, somebody sits around the table and says, we should make The Princess, smack the shit out of them before they finish that sentence. That is a classic movie. Should never be touched. Highlander with Christopher Lambert. Awesome movie. I think the storyline is great. One side of me thinks they should never remake it, but another side of me says they should remake it for the fighting scenes. Lo and behold, they are remaking Highlander. So that should be interesting. Now, they tried sequels and TV shows of Highlander, and Highlander was awesome. That whole There Can Only Be One, the soundtrack to the first one with Queen, Highlander with Christopher Lambert and Queen, that was a good fucking movie. And the soundtrack was even better. I was all about the soundtrack, man. So Highlander came out in 1986. Directed by Russell McCaddy, starring Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, and Clancy Brown. If I'm not mistaken, that's the chick. Right? The soundtrack was awesome, and the soundtrack was all done by Queen. But yeah, this immortal Scotsman that forgot where he came from, which is when they did the second one, people were pissed at Highlander 2. They're like, you fucking kidding me? He forgot where he came from? But Sean Connery didn't, it was. So the sequel really, I liked the sequel, but when I got older, I could see why people didn't like it, right? Then they had the Final Dimension, the one with Mara Van Peebles, right? And I appreciated Highlander, like when they were getting old, and then one of them would come back, and he would kill them, and then he would become young again and get the strength back. It's a pretty good movie. The synopsis is awesome. They're sticking to the same synopsis in the remake, so this should be good, but they have to have better fighting scenes. Actually, Clancy Brown is not the chick. Clancy Brown's the guy. I'm sorry. I looked at the name again. I'm like, no. That's the dude. Yeah, that's the guy that played the bad guy. But yeah, so we shall see what they do with the remake of Highlander. I'm a little excited, but I'm also a little annoyed at it. So another one that they should never remake, but if they remake it, it should only be for special effects. It's The Last Starfighter. Last Starfighter to this day is still a classic. I enjoy the shit out of that movie even now. But for special effects reasons, there's so much more you can do with that movie. And that's the thing with a lot of these movies too, guys. With special effects can allow them to add characters in it that they had to drop out and add a storyline or secondary storyline that they couldn't add in because there was no special effects at the time. I.e. Masters of the Universe with Battle Cat and Orko. Now you can add both of those in because we have the special effects to do it. Now you can have He-Man ride Battle Cat in the battle with the whole getup and everything on him. Right? Then you're going to have fucking Man-at-Arms and Teela. And Teela in Masters of the Universe, I sort of liked her now that I'm older. I liked her aggressiveness. But we were all looking for the Teela that we all grew up with. But yeah, that didn't happen. That wasn't like annoying. I was just like, she was good. She was aggressive. She was what Teela needed to be, not what we wanted her to be. Obviously, if they do this this new version, they're not going to make her the Teela we wanted to be. So Keith, the $6 Million Man movie was supposed to be made, and they were writing it out, and then they realized, I don't know why, but then they realized that it's no longer the $6 Million Man. Because by today's standards, the $6 Million Man would be the $6 trillion man for the amount of shit that they would put in him, or the $6 billion man, excuse me. So that's why they didn't do it. They were writing it out, and then they figured, shit. And it was like early 2000s or mid 2000s they were writing it, the script for it, and they realized that it doesn't work because you can't call it the $6 Million Man. And the $6 Million Man wouldn't work in 2020 or 20, whenever it was written, 2010. So now, could they go back to the 70s and rewrite and redo the $6 Million Man at that level? Yes, they can. They absolutely can, but they have to go back into the early 80s, late 70s to pull it off. They can't pull it off now. The $2 Man. It should be the $6 billion man. Yeah, I mean, they could. The broke-ass no-dollar man, yeah. So, now, 2 remakes that they made that failed. Now, I said Clash of the Titans 2 was a failure. There was no original Clash of the Titans 2. Though, if I'm not mistaken, Clash of the Titans was supposed to be multiple stories. They crammed it into one movie so they can get away with doing a TV show. They probably could get away with it. But the one remake that failed badly was Conan. I didn't even watch it. I heard about it, and I was like, nope. I had no interest in watching it. Enemy Mine would be a great remake. Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid. Inner Space. Those are sci-fi movies. So I have a sci-fi list. I'm hoping to add those 2 to the sci-fi list, if I remember. But those would be 2 good remakes. Enemy Mine and Inner Space. Especially Inner Space now, with the way science is. Inner Space would work. Inner Space would absolutely work. And they could get more sciencey with shrinking him and not killing him and all this other shit. That would work out pretty well. Chump change, man. Chump change, man. And everybody remember the movie Chomps? It wasn't when I saw it. It was on TV. It was like a made-for-TV kind of deal. But Chomps came out in 1979. I was only 2 when this movie came out. Again, I watched it when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And for those that remember Chomps was a dog, a robotic dog that and I forgot what the acronym stood for, but it was a robotic dog, and they were like, Chomps 81, and like, Chomps would like jump over something, and it was like Chomps 23, and then he'd like roll over or whatever it was. It's a good movie, very good movie, starring Wesley Ear Valerie Bertinelli, and Conrad Bain, directed by Don Chaffee. And all these people, man, Valerie Bertinelli still looks good. Shit. Anyway, trying to get the acronym of CHOMPS. But I can't see it, so let's just look it up. What is it? Cannibalistic, humanoid? No, I'm just kidding. Trying to find it. Oh, CHOMPS is an acronym for... Oh, yeah, you got it. Canine Home Protection System. Ha! Nice one. Who named it? Mr. Landfill. Thank you for that. Carlos. They're remaking Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Huh? How excited are you now? They are remaking that movie. I was just looking at it. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And I think they're writing it out. Yeah, the 1988 classic. They did have a part 2. But they are remaking, and it's called The Return of Killer Clowns in 3D. But it hasn't been officiated yet. Yeah, but they are working on a remake of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I enjoy that movie. Listen, I enjoy B movies. See, I could look at a movie and I go, and I could categorize them as like a shitty B movie and still want to watch it, a good B movie and still watch it, and then the movies that are just shitty, like Ratpocalypse, which that movie was done in the 80s. It might have done well if it was done in the 80s. Who was it? And then like the movie Rat Boy, 1986. How many people in the chat have remember Rat Boy? So Rat Boy was 1986, starring Sonja Locke, Robert Townsend, and Christopher Hewitt. The Rat Boy was actually played by a girl. Go figure, huh? But yeah, it was played by a girl, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, Sonja Locke died in 2018. No shit. Let's see why she died. Holy shit, they got a whole fucking... She's got some fucking... She died in November 3rd, 2018 from cardiac arrest stemming from breast cancer. She died from breast cancer. A heart attack stemming from a metastatic breast cancer, which was not publicized until mid-December. The serious 6-week delay raised a lot of eyebrows, especially since the belated news leaked opening day of the late Eastwood blockbuster, The Mule. Of the latest, okay. Was she married to him? Anyway, but yeah, how many people? Oh, a couple people did. That's awesome. Flown Grown's like, I do. All right, never seen it. Yeah, Rat Boy, very interesting movie. Yeah, man. So, and at the end of the song, the rat runs off into, like, she lets the Rat Boy go. Be free, Rat Boy, be free. And he runs off into the woods. They could do a sequel with that, where they find him. And then he's like, digging around through garbage. Really bad movie, but Nikki Morrison. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, she played the Rat Boy. But the Rat Boy's voice was by a guy. Oh no, sorry, excuse me, Sharon Braid. Right, it is a lady. The lady who played Rat Boy is named Sharon Brady, whatever. She's still alive, but she is super short. She was on that show, Land of the Lost, as Sa, one of the creatures on it. Ha, no shit. But anyway, Rat Boy wasn't a great movie. Didn't do too well. I think a handful of people, we saw it, and that was it. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it for tonight. I'm going to stick with this channel for a little bit. I'm getting a kick out of it. We're probably going to have some open nights where we just talk about whatever movies you guys pull up in the chat, and we'll just run through it. From freaky flaws of AI videos. Morph Trust. Yeah, you're right. Listen, there's a lot that can be done with old movies. Better storyline, better special effects can make a lot of these movies good. And then there's some movies you just can't make good. No matter how much shit you throw at it or AI you throw at it, you just can't make it good. Free speech is dead on YouTube. Free speech has been dead on YouTube for quite some time, Keith. Welcome to it. Yeah, we're going to do Christian Prepper. We're going to do 80 sci-fi next. This was fantasy movies, so we'll do sci-fi next. Now, technically, The Last Starfighter classifies as a sci-fi. I will not be talking about it next week, or the week after next, rather. Sorry. Other than that, man, thank you for joining me, man. Thank you for dealing with it. We're going to try to have more fun with this channel. I'm currently working on, with Sarita, working on doing the trivia night. But I'm going to do a test one first. So I'll have people like Christian Prepper and a couple people come on for the trivia, the trivia night. That should be fun. And then, again, we're going to have like an open forum night. We'll just shoot the shit and talk about shit for like a half hour. All right, guys, other than that, man, thank you for joining me. Thank you for doing my bullshit. I will be on tomorrow for the doubleheader. So see some of you guys tomorrow night for the doubleheader. Thank you and good night.